Among the Buddha's disciples, there is a nun who shows the most dramatic transformation in life. Her name is Paduma-vaṇṇā, a woman who was called Paduma before her ordination. The life of Paduma-vaṇṇā encompasses nearly all the human tragedies we speak of today: family destruction, betrayal, the ruin of human relationships, extreme means of survival, and social stigma. However, this woman is said to have attained arhatship and become the foremost among nuns in the Buddha's community. According to the scriptures, this story is not just a simple tale of miracles, it is a narrative that illustrates the concepts of karma, suffering, liberation, and human potential through extreme examples as described in Buddhism. The beautiful woman was born as the daughter of a wealthy heir in the kingdom of Magadha. The scriptures say that she possessed extraordinary beauty. In Indian society at that time, daughters of such wealthy families had their marriage. Partners decided from a young age, and she too would enter into an arranged marriage with a rich heir. She lives with her husband and has one daughter, leading what appears to be a fulfilling family life. However, after her father passes away, the tragedy begins when she brings her mother, who is left alone at her family home to live with her husband. One day, Yanhua witnesses a scene where her husband and her mother are sharing an intimate moment. This scene is a more extreme betrayal than any drama today. The husband betrayed his spouse, and the mother betrayed her daughter. At this moment, Paduma-vaṇṇā is not only betrayed by one person, but is also betrayed by the very foundation of her life. She immediately runs out of this house, leaving her daughter behind. She cuts ties with both her husband and mother, and sets off to find a new life. The woman in the color of lotus flowers. She moves to Varanasi and remarries another wealthy man. This time she carefully builds a family again, overcoming the wounds of the past. However, this second life also does not bring her peace. Her husband, using business as an excuse, travels back and forth to distant places. And one day he sees a girl who looks just like Paduma-vaṇṇā, and he buys the girl with money to make her his concubine. The husband lies about having his money stolen, while hiding this fact, and starts a separate household. One day, a friend of the husband approaches her and inadvertently reveals this fact. When she pressed her husband, he finally confessed to the existence of his concubine. She said to her husband, "Don't live secretly far away. Instead, bring her home and let's live together." She takes care of the girl like a younger sister or a daughter, and they live together. Eventually, she confirms the girl's origin and realizes that she is her biological daughter from her first marriage. At this moment, the heart of the woman completely shatters. The past where she competed with her mother for a man, now she is destined to compete with her daughter for another man. In the face of this tragedy, she can no longer believe in family, love, or human relationships. She runs out of the house again and says, "There is no place in this world that can embrace me." She finally goes to Vaishali and becomes a courtesan. She soon becomes the city's top courtesan and leads 500 courtesans, with countless men wasting their fortunes and falling for her. However, this splendor is by no means happiness. A being wounded by desire leaves scars on the world again through desire. The woman has been hurt herself, and at the same time she leaves another scar in the lives of countless other women. Now, at the darkest point of her life, she came face to face with the Buddha. The outsiders, envious of the Buddha's reputation, offer Paduma-vaṇṇā a large sum of money and say, "Seduce the ascetic Gautama and create a scandal." She approaches the Buddha, half curious and half empty. Dressed in splendid jewelry and the finest adornments, she stands before the Buddha and speaks, as if to flaunt her power. "You save many people, but I have also saved many men." In response, the Buddha quietly addresses her, without rebuking her past. "Your eyes are burning with vengeance. You think you have conquered many men, but the ones you have hurt the most deeply are the countless women who are just like your former self." This one phrase pierces the heart of the woman. For the first time, she sees her life from both the victims and the perpetrator's perspectives. And at that moment, she expresses her intention to take refuge in the Buddha. When the woman requests to leave home, many disciples of the community strongly oppose it. If we allow a prostitute known to the whole world to ordain, the community will be ridiculed. At that time, it is said that the Buddha spoke these words: "She is no longer the person she once was. the world's criticism will not last long. And through Mahapajapati Gautami, he grants her permission to ordain. This scene is very important in Buddhist history. This is because the Buddha was someone who allowed ordination by looking at a person's present mind, rather than their past. Paduma-vaṇṇā practices extremely strict asceticism after ordination, the practice of the 4 foundations of mindfulness, thorough adherence to precepts, integration of concentration and wisdom, and ultimately attaining arahatship. Several scriptures record her as the foremost in miraculous powers among nuns. There is also another famous anecdote. A former lover, the Brahmin, comes to her and persistently demands that she keep her promise, seducing her by saying she has dew-like eyes. In response, she miraculously plucks out her own eyes to show him. Seeing this, the Brahmin was so taken aback that he lost all affection, apologized, and left. This scene symbolically shows that she has completely parted ways with the past. This story is not just a simple narrative of salvation. This story clearly tells us 4 things. 1. Karma changes not from the past, but from the choices made now. Paduma-vaṇṇā has transformed from the deepest abyss of karma to a life of a saint through her current choices. 2. Buddhism does not impose moral judgments. The Buddha saw her not as a former courtesan, but as a being who is now awakened. 3. The end of suffering is not moral judgment, but insight. What changed the Lotus Girl was not punishment, but the insight to see her life clearly. 4. It is never too late for anyone at any point. The reason the story of the Lotus Lady remains in Buddhist history is that a person who starts from the lowest place can rise to the highest seat of a saint. She lived with the most wounds in the world, and with those wounds, she inflicted the greatest pain on others. However, she was also a being who transformed those wounds into the deepest awareness and compassion. The teachings of the Buddha are asking us this. Through such stories, are you still defining your life by your past? The past is karma, but the future is a choice.